We're back for another trade recap. Today's Friday, the 14th of November. We just finished our trade here on the S&P 500, and I'm gonna just run through the recap real quick. So I started on the 1-day time frame. It's kind of messy, but all you really got to worry about, or all I was worrying about, was this low right here on Nasdaq. If we take a look here, we can see we swept through this low. Meanwhile, on S&P, no sweep. We came close, but we didn't take it out. So that right there was my first confluence, the SMT divergence at the 1-day low right here. After that, I came down to the 5-minute time frame. This is when New York session opened. So we had our SMT divergence, and at this point, I was pretty much just waiting for a 5-minute break of structure upwards, and then a retest into that breakup, into that fair value gap that was created. So I wasn't looking for a break of structure, but I was really just looking for a 5-minute fair value gap to be created, and then for us to test and respect that. So let me find where I had that note right here. All right, so that was my second confluence, 5-minute break of structure upwards with the 5-minute testing and respecting of the fair value gap. So basically second and third confluences right there. And we see that on the chart. Right here we had a break of structure on the 5-minute, and then we had this gap be created. After that, price came down and touched into it here at 710. So after I see price touch into it, now what I'm looking for, I scale down to the 1-minute. So this is where we touched at. It was at 713 actually. So at 713 we touch into this 5-minute fair value gap, which I wrote in blue. And then, like I said, after that, I'm looking for it to respect that fair value gap, which it did. We start coming back up. And my last confluence, I just want to see a downside fair value gap be inversed. So we had it right here. We also inversed this one below, right here. But the reason I was only marking out this top one is because it's the highest one in the move. So inversing this one isn't as important as inversing that one, because we could inverse this one and respect that one, come back down. That's why I just wait for the top one to get inversed. So when we had that inverse right here, you can see that's where I entered. I entered right before the candle closed because I was confident it was just going to close up there. And then right after I entered my trade, we had a little bit of consolidation, and then we came down a little bit, and I was thinking, damn, like what the fuck did I do wrong? But I like relooked at all my confluences. I relooked at the higher time frames, and I saw all my signs were there. So I decided to just leave the trade going, not panic. And pretty quickly we had a big move back up. And then after that, we just kept on climbing. I actually had my take profit. My final take profit was actually up here. That's Asia session lows up there. This is London session highs, which was my first take profit. And the reason I closed my trade early before the final take profit is because I was also looking at the Nasdaq right here, and I see these drawings are from a different day. Shit, I deleted it, but Asia highs, Asia session highs. Let me find where they're at. Basically, we had already swept Asia session highs on the Nasdaq. So when either the Nasdaq sweeps it or the S&P sweeps it, it's not guaranteed that the other index will sweep it. It could just be left untouched now that one has filled it or swept it. So this blue line right here was Asia session highs, and you can see right here we took it out. So as soon as I saw Nasdaq take out Asia session highs, I was going to be very careful with my trade to make sure it didn't reverse on me and lose all the profit that I was in already. So I basically, at this point, once Nasdaq swept Asia highs and S&P had not swept them yet, I basically just moved my stop loss all the way to up to London highs right there, so that even if we came down and started reversing, I would have still had my first take profit secured. And you can see we did start coming back down. We may still just be retracing and come back up to take out Asia highs later, but either way, it's already 8, so I wasn't trying to stay in it for any longer than that. I'm happy with my first take profit. We ended up with a 1 to 1.65 risk to reward, so not too bad. And I also want to mention, last week I did get my first payout with Top Step, so that's pretty cool. It's good to see the progress, and I'm gonna keep going. It's only up from here.